In this lesson, we are going to do a sweep as one of the primary features. So, new, give it a name. I have mine set for isometric, so I'm going to rotate it around. I want to select my front view for sketching, extrusion, and it's going to be a, well, actually this one's going to be a rectangle centered, and make it a rectangle, not a square. Then we're going to put in our fillets, rounds, like so. And we're going to make them equal. So we want to go up to our constraints equal, and we will select the one we want to use as the primary and then select all the other ones. So there's only one dimension, like so. Now, I know this is, I know what the dimensions are, so I'm not going to go into the modify dialog. I'm just going to change them here. That's 1. This one is supposed to be 5, as I recall. And I think the other one's supposed to be 7, but I'll check on it. So 5 and 7, yes. Right mouse button, check. And I think it's supposed to be a total of 0.75. No, 0.875. Check, finish it. So there's our first feature. I did want to show that I have set up my configuration here and under Sketcher. I put it at 4 decimal places. And I put the grid on. I made it a polar grid and a static grid. Now you can do this while you're sketching or in the part, or you can do it before you start as a setup. I made it as a setup and I'm in session, therefore this will be automatic. Click OK. No, I don't want to save that. All right, so the next one we're going to do is we're going to get a sweep feature that requires a trajectory and a sketch of the section. So 2 sections basically. So the shapes, we have blend, we have swept blend combination, and here we have sweep. We're just going to do the simple sweep. And references to take a look is we're looking for a trajectory. So to make the trajectory, we're going to go up and select the datum features here, construction, and we're going to pick sketch. And we're going to select the right datum plate to sketch on and turn the models like so. Now I want to have a couple of things. First of all, I want to make sure my grid, okay, it's okay, but I don't really want a grid here right now. I don't want the polar grid on, and I don't want the snap on. So I can shut off the grid if I want, but I can't shut off the snap to grid. So I'm going to shut off that right now. No. Now I see a grid, but it's not snapping to it. If I don't want to see the grid, again, I can go to display here and I can turn the grid display off. So right mouse button references, basically I want to use the top and this edge as a reference. And then I can directly right mouse button and go into sketching. I don't have to close that dialog. I normally do close it, but you don't have to. And sketch these 3 elements without making any of them equal. And one thing you can do in the very beginning here, you can actually put in a dimension for the overall, and that is 14 inches. That becomes a design dimension. And then we have our rounds and fillets we want to put in here. And we want to make sure they are equal. So we'll only have 1 dimension, like so. We also have the need for a dimension for the angle, but it's the acute angle here. My pick box is very small. And that's supposed to be 60. And this dimension here, well, let's go to this one here first. This is supposed to be 3, and this is supposed to be 3.5, and I think this one is supposed to be 7. That looks too big. That one is supposed to be, yeah, it does say 7. So we can move our dimensions around, make them look a little bit better. If we ever have to display them on a drawing, this is where they're going to start off showing up. So you would maybe like them to be off the face of the object in the sketch, like so. So I'm going to rotate it a little bit. And I need a section now. So when I click OK, it's not really going to show anything. I'm going to resume the sweep command. And here is the arrow pointing the direction of the sweep. If we click on that arrow, it goes to the other end. We're going to keep it up here. Now, trajectory is taken care of, but we want to do a section. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to center it right here where that start point was. And we'll move this around a little bit. And what we want to do is put a section there, and we're going to use a standard profile from the sketch palette. Double click on T. I put it over here. Right mouse button to move its handle. Left mouse button to rotate it. Left mouse button to bring it to where I want it to go. Now I want it to lock in over here. And it looks okay. Now let's go to no hidden just so we don't have to have all that shading there. So it looks okay. Close. I'm not going to go through and put in all the correct dimensions. You can make things equal, whatever, and you're going to put in your rounds, but I'm not going to do that here. So check. I'm going to go Control D. You can see the preview of it. Shading with edges. Looks good. Middle mouse button to finish it. All right, the next feature is going to go down here on this end. But I want to create a datum plane first. And I'm going to put my cursor here and hit my right mouse button to pick up the bottom of the T there. And I want to make that through. So I have a new datum plane. If I want to see those tags, I can turn them on. So there's my datum tag. All right, so this goes on the underneath of here. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to do another extrusion. This one is a circle. Very simple shapes. Right mouse button, define internal sketch. I'm going to sketch on this plane right here. Sketch and 2D. And what I want to do is check my references. So I want this as a reference. I do not want the top as a reference, so I just delete it. So I'm going to put in my circular feature at that particular point. Right mouse button, circle, pick the center, like so. I think this is 8. Check, and I think this is 0.75. I don't remember, to be honest. 0.875. Middle mouse button to finish it, and I've got my third feature. Now the next one is going to be a cut, and I'm going to pick extrude. Well, I'll do a little bit different. I'm going to pre-select, select extrude. Now it's going to be an extrude, not a remove material extrude. And I'm going to go and select my sketch view. I can see it. And I want this as a reference. So I'm going to reference here. Could have used previous. And put in a circle for my cut. middle mouse button. I think this is 6.75, not sure certain. Now when I complete this, it's going to show as an extrusion. Right mouse button, I want to remove material, and I want to remove it in the other direction, obviously. And I think it's 0.125. Remember, you can always go back and change these. See if I can find some of the other dimensions in here. Yeah, it looks like a 1/4 inch instead. So I'm going to double click on it. Double click here, 0.25. And again, it's not that important. Left mouse button a couple of times and it's edited. So the next thing I want to do is I want to put in a series of slots here. So basically I want them to be 3 equal slots. They are circular or arc shaped, like so. And I'm going to be using extrude again and remove material. I'm going to select on this face. I'm going to look into my 2D version of it. And let's turn off and no hidden line for now. Let's make sure our references are good. I do want this as a reference, and of course this is a reference, and my top one we don't need. I'm going to remove that again. Close. And I'm going to start off by putting a sketch point right in the middle here. If you get a dimension, it means it didn't lock into the center. And at this point, now I want to go back over and check my settings for the sketcher. So I'm going to turn on the grid and snap. It should have these settings. Okay. But you'll notice that it goes up here to the origin. I want it down here where the point is. So setup, and we're going to go into grid and click on, you can check these, that looks okay. Origin, and then I'm going to select the origin right here, the point. Okay, and so now the origin is here. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go put in a construction, go into the construction mode and circle. Click here, and this is going to be a construction circle. And I want to select that and turn it into a diameter dimension. And I'm going to leave it just like it is for now. Like so. Now, I wanted some other elements for construction. I can put in my center line if I want. You know, I don't have very many divisions on this grid. I want to check my grid setup. 0.5, 30 degrees. Okay, well, it seems all right. All right, so I want to be between here and here. Now, I can put in my axes, but I don't think I'm going to. If I put in the axes, I would do this, or from here, I should say. But I'm not going to, well, okay, I think I can. I'm trying to see whether or not I really need the axes. That's the question. You probably can sketch without them in this case. There shouldn't be any dimensions. And then now, you have 30 degrees. That's okay. So now what I want to do is go and shut off the construction mode and go to arc center ends. So arc center end, arc, and the ends, and then again center, and then end, and then center, and then end, middle mouse button. Now, for some reason, it's not doing everything perfectly. It's got these little red items, and under the features here, you can see you have multiple loops, so something's wrong. So we're going to start off by putting in some constraints. So let's go symmetric, and I did put a center line here. Oh, I did not. So let's do that. Center line down the middle. Got to have a center line to make symmetry constraints work. So symmetric, and let's pick this point and this point, and center line and this point and this point, like so. I'm still not getting these to shade. So I've got to take a look and see what else I've got here. Got my 4 inches. And what I'm going to do, see what other type of thing we've got. Equal, that's all working. We've got symmetry. Let's do symmetry again, and let's click on the center point, like so. So that's what I was missing. So these are all symmetrical, and only one dimension is required. Remember the center lines, it will have the 30 degrees here. If you wanted to change and put in a 60 degree, you can do that. So everything is fine. I'm going to rotate a little bit. I'm going to go into my shaded again and check, and middle mouse button, and we have our first slot. Now we want to pattern that, so I'm leaving it selected. Click pattern. I'm going to go to an axial pattern, axis, select here, and we want it to be 3, and I think we want it to be 120. And you can rotate to see how it's previewing. Middle mouse button, and there is my slot. Okay. One of the things I do want to check though, let's see that first extrude. I want to go over here and see. I went all the way to here. And so you got to be careful. Sometimes these cuts, if I said this to be all the way through, all right, and then checked, oh, you can see what happened. It cut into here. So I kind of remembered that I hadn't set the depth. And so when I do this, I want it to be up to a certain point. So selected, and I want to select the back surface. And now it doesn't cut the sweep feature. I think I added one more thing here. I think there was supposed to be a chamfer. Now I picked the edge, and if I come over here and accidentally pick this surface, it's not the right thing. I can click on it again, move my cursor, pick the other one, and then click the edge chamfer. Now lastly, I'm going to put in some holes, and I'm going to just select the hole tool, put it in a position, make it a little bit smaller here. I'm going to go and drag this to the reference and then drag to this other reference. And I know one of these is going to be 2.5. 25 is a little big. And the other one is supposed to be 1.5, I think. Let's see. Looks okay. Many ways to do these holes, by the way, because you might want to even attach them to the round with an axis. I would prefer to do it like this because we can pattern it easy. And I think it's design intent better. We want to go and select 1/2 inch. And we want to turn off our thread and turn on our clearance here and turn on our counter bore, and then with the shape, and I can't remember what this was, but let's just go a little bit bigger to be doing something. And I think this is a free fit. Oh, this is much too deep. All right. And let's go to 1 inch on that one. All right. Middle mouse button. It's still selected, so right mouse button pattern. And we're going to have 2 dimensions for our pattern. The first one here is going to be 3 inches. Right mouse button, second direction, pick here. This is going to be 5 inches. Now you'll see that it's out in space. And that's because I should have typed in negative. How was I to know? So negative, enter, and negative, enter, and middle mouse button, and there's my whole pattern. And I think I forgot to do the cut back here. So might as well finish it off. Extrude, remove material, pick on this surface. Um, all this grid stuff, I'm going to go and get rid of it. You could make a map key to make this go a lot better, by the way, a lot faster. And we're going to turn these two things off. Go into the 2D. Zoom up a little bit. And we are going to offset from the edge here. So I'm going to pick offset, loop, pick here. And now in the book it's a little different because I put this in before the holes. Here it's saying, what loop do you want? So if I click next, you can see it highlights a hole. And here it highlights the whole thing. So let's go to no hidden and see if we can get that to look a little bit better. 1, 2, there. This is the one we want, the one on the outside. Accept. And it's a negative. I don't remember what it is. I'll just do a 1/4 inch. I think that's a little bigger than it's supposed to be, but that's okay. Always change it in the model. And as far as my depth goes, this is only supposed to be, you know, much, much smaller. And you can see it going with the counter bore. So let's take a look at this with shading. And as I drag this, you can see what the cut looks like. I think it's supposed to be 1/8 of an inch. Close enough. Now, I did not, on my section, put the rounds. And one of the reasons why is sometimes I'd rather put them here. So instead of my section for the sweep, I could go in and I could gather all of these right now. So I'm going to select, hold down my control key, and select all the edges. If you have a hard time, rotate it around, zoom it, hold down your control key again until you get all of them. And we'll go into round. That's a little bigger than it, I think it's supposed to be. Let's just do 0.1 for now. So to me, this is a lot faster than doing it on the sketch, even though that does mean you only have one feature rather than a sweep and a round. I think this is better. You can also alter this easier when you have an ECO. Now, lastly, we'll go into our view, change this into some other material. How about brushed steel? Like so. We'll keep that. We'll go into the standard view. We'll do shading with reflections. And depending on your applications and your choices here on the ribbon, you may have a license for it, you may not. We'll just do photo rendering, like so. And under scenes, we could maybe pick a different scene. I don't know if this will work. Again, I'm not sure with the addition. Yeah, it did a little bit of a change. It didn't look very much different, but it did. And it looks very realistic at this point. Takes a little while to render. And let's see. Anything else we can? No, I guess we'll just keep it.